My name is Nayat and I am Assistant Professorial Lecturer in the Department of Management, and my role is split between teaching and academic mentoring. So next year I will be the course leader for the first year Operations Management course, which is a core course for our BSc Management student. And this course is actually open to students from other departments as well. So in total, I'll have over 200 students, and the majority of these students will not only be new to my course, but they'll be new to LSE and new to higher education in general. So keeping this in mind, and also considering the sort of practical constraints such as social distancing, the possibility of further lockdowns, or that some of my students may not make it to campus in the beginning of Michaelmas time, I am essentially reviewing every aspect of my course in preparation for next year. And given this is such a big task, I'm trying to use a high-level structure with the central focus on being the experience of my students, but of course I'm also keeping in mind the principles set out in Curriculum Shift 2020. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at three aspects of my course. So firstly, how the students will interact with the teachers. Secondly, how the students will interact with each other. And thirdly, how the students will interact with the materials. And just to give you one example of each one of these different aspects that I'm reviewing. So when I look at how the students will be interacting with the teachers, I look at not only the lecture materials but the class materials, and I carefully consider which one of these are most suitable for asynchronous delivery. And for when I'm going to be asking the students to come to a synchronous session, I think I'm very careful to make sure that we use this time together to foster interaction and engagement with the students. So secondly, when I'm thinking about how the students will interact with each other, of course there may be possibilities to do this in the physical classroom, but I'm keeping in mind the potential restrictions on this setting, and I'm trying to think through sort of digital alternatives where the students can interact outside the classroom as well. For example, this could be setting up a discussion question on a Moodle forum, or using a technology like Padlet, where the students who are on campus and the students who are not on campus have a mutual space for interaction. And finally, when I'm thinking about how the students will interact with the materials, for me, the key here is to have a diverse range of resources, but with a clear purpose in mind. So let's say when I'm looking at the learning outcomes of a lecture, I think, okay, whether some short videos recorded by me, or say perhaps a podcast, is the best and most effective way for the students to engage with that material. And one final point is that we should remember that Moodle will be an even more important medium for our students next year. So it's important that our course pages have a clear, easy to follow and inclusive structure for our students, and that we all use Moodle also as an effective and consistent way of communicating with our students. As an academic mentor to our almost 160 second-year BSc Management students, it was absolutely crucial that the students knew that I was there to support them. I was there to answer their questions and their concerns, and most importantly, I was there to act as an immediate sort of connection point to the school when all of a sudden they were suddenly sort of physically removed from campus. So I increased the number of office hours that I offer, and I made sure that my virtual office hours were suitable for different time zones. Where possible, I responded to student emails as soon as I could. And once sort of the students' initial concerns around being away from the campus calmed down, in order to engage them, I sort of put myself into their shoes, and I tried to think carefully about, what support they need the most at this exact point in time. And just to give you an example, when the school announced that the exams were going to take place online, I realized that the students were feeling a little bit anxious about this sort of brand new experience. So I ran some academic mentoring sessions on how to prepare for online exams. And I opened these sessions to all of our BSc students, actually, not just my own mentees. And I think the sessions worked well because it was an opportunity for me to reconnect with the students, but it also provided the students a shared space where they can engage with each other, because they could take part in sort of interactive activities in Zoom, but they also could exchange ideas or their concerns about exams on the chat function. So much like the next academic year is going to be a new experience to many of us as educators at LSE, we really need to appreciate that it'll be a brand new experience for our students as well. So it's important that, we take time to consider how exactly our students will experience this new setting and where they will need more support from us, both from an academic point of view, but also from a social point of view. And for example, thinking about the social aspect, it's important that regardless of the circumstances, we try to provide our students spaces for them to get together, to get to know each other, to exchange ideas and start building networks, because it's important to keep in mind that education isn't only about conveying a curriculum to the students, but there is an important social element to it as well. So whereas in the past, the students may have stood next to each other before entering a large lecture hall, or sat next to each other in an academic mentoring session and have a little chat, these may not be possible when the Michaelmas term starts. So it's important for us to think through, what are the online alternatives for these? So, for example, it could be that, maybe at a program level, we could create a forum just for non-academic interactions for the students, or it could be something like creating a photo competition on Instagram, or maybe some team building activities when we're running our academic mentoring sessions. We could have some Zoom breakout rooms where a smaller group of students, get together and get to know each other. And I think sort of thinking of different alternatives like this is important, because they give the students an opportunity to, form social connections, which I think is a really important part of the university experience. I will certainly continue offering virtual office hours as well as face-to-face ones when we are once again allowed to do so, because I realized the students appreciated the added flexibility. And given both for my teaching and my academic mentoring, I interact with a lot of students, I believe offering virtual office hours will make sure that, I engage with more students on an ongoing basis. And for the rest of it, I think it's fair to say that my plan is to just see how Michaelmas term goes, and I'm quite open to change. If there are any aspects of my teaching or my academic mentoring, that prove to be more effective than they were before, I'm more than happy to keep them. And I feel also that, maybe there were some things that we were all doing just because that's how they've always been done, and I'm ready to challenge some of these. Ultimately, some of these new approaches that we were almost forced to adapt, some of them will work better than others, and I completely appreciate that. It's quite daunting thinking of the uncertainty that waits us and the students in the Michaelmas term, but looking at it from a positive view, I think it's also an opportunity to change some things for the better, and I think that's an exciting prospect.